So I went down to Sussex University to study physics. And when I was doing my finals, I was getting really stressed out. And I thought, I must learn to meditate. I wasn't actually quite sure what meditation was, but I had this sense that it would help with all the stress. And there were times when I used to get quite down, quite depressed. And the first thing that happened when I started meditating was to realize that my state of mind was something impermanent, and that included depression. So if I was feeling a bit low or a bit sad or even despairing, I now knew for certain that it wouldn't last. And that was an incredible feeling of liberation. It didn't necessarily get rid of it at the moment, but it made me realize that in a way my whole experience was a bigger thing than my passing moods. And it really took the sting and the power out of those moods. I think that one issue that a lot of people face is that they feel oppressed. And different people feel oppressed by different things. If you're depressive, you'll feel oppressed by your own states of mind, your own depression or whatever. It may be the same if you're sort of a bit bipolar or something like that. Other people feel oppressed by society. They feel that they're not getting their just desserts and society is grinding them down. Other people feel oppressed by their parents or by their children or by their partner or by their work. Oppressions seem to come in from all directions, and the Sutra of Golden Light actually uses this word oppression. And it says, I confess all the mistakes that I've made under the oppression of all these things. And then you realize, actually, you don't have to feel oppressed. I mean, there may be genuine limitations that are worth dealing with. I'm not saying that there aren't, but they don't have to dominate your life. You don't have to be tyrannized by that particular issue. And there's some amazing stories, for example, about Jewish people who were in concentration camps, who even under those awful circumstances, possibly the worst imaginable or even unimaginable, they managed to retain their spirit, they managed to retain their sense of freedom because they weren't completely defined by their circumstances, by the oppressions that they were under. So William Blake, talking about ups and downs, he says, joy and pain are woven fine, a clothing for the soul divine. I once had to go into hospital to have a knee operation on a knee cartilage. And so I said, I don't want to have general anaesthetic, because people have said it really interferes with your meditation practice having general anaesthetic. So if you can avoid it, don't have it. So they gave me something a little bit like an epidural that they give to women when they're giving birth, something into the spine. So it would completely numb me below the waist. And then they could do the knee operation. So that was done. Operation happened fine. I was lying in the bed recovering. But the anaesthetic didn't wear off. And the anaesthetic had included my bladder. So I was there, and unfortunately I'd had a big cup of tea just before the operation. So I couldn't pee. And it was getting more and more uncomfortable. And in the end, it was so awful. I was lying in the bed there moaning, sort of moaning. And you know, with the distress and the pain of not being able to pee. And it took ages for a doctor to come up and put in a catheter to actually relieve that pressure. It seemed like hours, you know, that I had to put up with this. And I was in a hospital ward, and the other people looking around me, some of them were facing life and death issues. I'd just had an operation, something had gone a little bit wrong with the anaesthetic. I knew it wouldn't last forever. And I just laughed. And it's as if I just suddenly thought that my own sort of fuss that I was making about it was just really funny. And it's as if the pain, it was still there, but it's as if you can rise above it. And maybe when William Blake's talking about finding a joy beneath a pain, it's something like that. Under every grief and pine, there runs a joy in silken twine, he goes on in that same poem. So you may be thinking that there's grief, pining, you know, sort of going into depression, but underneath it, if you look carefully, you'll find a joy. It's not that you have to stop the grief and the pine and the difficulty, and then later the joy will arise. Look deeply enough and you'll find joy.